She came in at 2 o'clock in the morning, keys clattering against the console like she wanted me awake to hear them. Coat half off, hair sprayed with night air. That look of fake surprise when the kitchen light caught her. Coffee went long, Lauren said, dropping her purse. Jenna wouldn't stop talking about her new condo. If you don't believe me, call her. Call all of them. I held the fridge door. Cold air on my hands. Lou, I for coffee. We lost track. You know how it is. You were unreachable for 4 hours. That's not lost track. That's left the planet. She shrugged, kicked off her heels. If it's a problem, dial Jenna right now. Want the number? I'll put it on speaker. You'll hear her half asleep and cranky. My jaw clicked once. I didn't take the bait. Go to bed, Lauren. She smirked like I'd blinked first and disappeared down the hall. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have changed the locks that night. In the morning, the smell of her perfume still sat in the entryway. I made eggs and packed my lunch for the shop. She brushed past me, hair in a neat bun, pretending we were fine. You're quiet, she said, buttoning her blouse. I like facts. Last night gave me none. You still going on about that? She reached for my cup. Relax. If you need a timestamp, I can text Jenna, or you can call my mom and ask what time she got home from her book club. She'll tell you it ended at 9:30. That help your schedule. You're mixing people, times, and tone. It doesn't help anything. Then what does? She stared at me over the rim. You want me to sign out every hour? I want a partner who doesn't turn the house into a bus station at 2 a.m. I took my keys. Tonight, if you're out past 10, send a text. Not a novel, just a text. That's controlling. It's clarity. She smiled at the word like it was a cheap tie. Sure, clarity. At the shop, the smell of rubber and oil is honest. I run a small place in Addison. 3 bays, 2 texts, steady business. Mike, my lead, looked at me over a Camry hood. You look like you slept in that jacket, he said. Domestic turbulence. Let's call it interesting air currents. I hung my jacket on the hook. He wiped his hands. Her or you? Her. Back at 2 a.m. coffee with friends. Mike whistled. In this economy, coffee is powerful. I'm not going to play sheriff. I told him I'm going to get facts. You going to hire somebody? I already did. I held up a card I'd pocketed on the way out. Jack Pierce Investigations. He came recommended by a customer who went through a rough split. I'd called at 7:30 and left a message. By 9, Jack called back. Voice like a gravel road, straight questions. Over lunch, Jack came by. Square jaw, unremarkable car, that calm look you get from sitting in your own silence for work. Tell me what you need, he said, sliding into my office chair. My wife says she's with friends a lot. She's not. I don't care about drama. I care about facts. Be discreet. Tell me where she goes, when she goes, and who she's with. No movie scenes, just the truth. Copy. He tapped notes. You assume there's a person involved? I assume pattern. Patterns have reasons, he nodded. Financial accounts joint. For now, you might want to separate day to day. Not punitive, just protection while I work. I'm already on it. I'd planned to do it anyway. Right after lunch, I called the bank to split our discretionary card and set up alerts. Not secrecy policy. If she asked, I would say it openly. At home that night, I put it on the table. She glanced at the paperwork and laughed. You changed the spending accounts. Are we 12? We're grown. You come home whenever. Leave your phone dark and then smile like I imagined it. I'm making sure the mortgage keeps getting paid whether or not your coffee runs go to sunrise. Groceries and bills stay joint. Extras we keep separate. You know what this looks like? She leaned on the counter. It looks like you're punishing me because I have friends. It looks like I'm removing friction. You can stay out all week if you want. My house will still be standing. So now the house is yours. She laughed again. Too loud for the room. Got it. This is me being calm, I said. You should love it. She rolled her eyes and took her laptop to the couch. 15 minutes later, a text pinged my phone from an unknown number. Jack's update. He'd started same day. Surveillance begins tomorrow. Keep routines normal. I kept them normal. Meaning, I went to the shop, handled customers, coached my nephew's little league practice on Thursdays, and stopped doing the nightly check-in calls out of habit. When Lauren noticed, she poked, "Where's my you good text?" She flicked a chrome off the counter. "I don't text grown adults to see if they're okay drinking coffee with their friends." Petty? No, efficient. Friday, she was out late again. Saturday morning, she played boardroom maid. We had a neighbor barbecue down the block. I went alone. Patty from next door, a retired nurse with a straight-shot mouth, cornered me by the cooler. "Lauren's out a lot lately," she said, offering me tongs like a microphone. "Everything okay?" "We're reviewing policies," I answered, flipping brats. "I like clarity." "I like that word," Patty squinted at me. "If you need me to feed the cat while you review, I'm around." "Appreciate it." Lauren arrived halfway through the barbecue. Sunglasses on. Laugh loud. She was bright with attention. She pecked my cheek like public relations. "Miss me?" she asked, grabbing a plate. "We live in the same house," I said. She caught the tone and turned it into a bit. "He's mad because I'm popular. Isn't that cute?" She told this to a few neighbors with a wink, collecting laughs that landed on me like darts. I let it travel and then raised my voice enough to carry. "Quick heads up," I said. "If anyone texts me after 10 asking where Lauren is, I won't know. She's off the clock for check-ins. That's our new system." She stopped mid-scoop. A couple faces tilted. Not scandal, just air cooling by a degree. That was my public boundary. Neutral stated, no theater. She leaned in, whispering between teeth. "Really? Really?" I popped a can of seltzer and handed it to her like peace. She took it, smiled too wide for the crowd, and drifted off. 10 minutes later, she was animated. Loud story about Jenna's condo again. The city views, the new couches, comfort, upgrades, the little theme you notice when you listen. That night when we got home, she softened. She came into the garage while I put away the folding chairs. "I shouldn't have made you a joke," she said, tracing a finger on the workbench. "It was cheap." "Thanks for saying that." I slid a box of nails into place. "I'll text when I'm out late." "Happy?" She looked up. "Yeah," I said. "That's a start." We had a solid 48 hours. Sunday, we actually cooked together. Light banter. Netflix running in the background while we folded towels. Monday, she packed me a lunch like it was a memory from earlier days. Turkey sandwich. A note on the napkin. Trying. That was the first softening. It looked right. It felt rehearsed. I didn't fight it. I filed it. By Wednesday, she forgot to text and rolled in. After midnight, she dropped the keys louder than before. "Jenna's cat got sick," she called from the hall. We ran to the vet. "Send me a photo of you at the vet," I said from the bedroom doorway. Calm voice, no heat. "You don't trust me?" "I asked for a photo of a public place you say you were at." "It's not a diary. It's a snapshot." She pulled out her phone and tossed it on the bed. "Here, scavenge what you need. I'm not playing with your apps at 1 in the morning. Then go to sleep and stop acting like a hall monitor. I'll sleep when facts visit the house." I handed the phone back. She rolled away and turned off the lamp. I stared at the ceiling long enough to hear the dishwasher click. Thursday afternoon, Jack called. I stepped outside the bay, grease on my knuckle. "Got movement," he said. "Your wife's patterns are consistent." Monday, lunch at Riverwalk with a male tall, late 30s. Tuesday, gym together. Wednesday, a drive out to Neepville. Parked and talked for an hour. Today, she met him at a travel agency on Jefferson. Travel agency. The word sounded like it belonged to the 9s. Yep, old school. They picked up a packet. "I've got photos. Want them now or end of week? Send now." I texted him my email and stood behind the shop, leaning against the cinder block wall. He sent a set that would make anyone's comm get new teeth. No handsy nonsense, just body language that said familiarity. Heads close, private smiles that weren't mine. At the travel agency, they held a glossy brochure with the Eiffel Tower on the cover. I went back in and finished a brake job like I hadn't seen it. At 6, I drove home, grilled chicken, ate at the counter. Lauren was at Jenna's. If I called, would Jenna answer and improvise? Maybe. I put my phone face down. Friday at 10:12 a.m., while I was twerking lug nuts, Jack called again. "Update," he said. "She's at O'Hare Terminal 5 with the same male. I've got shots of them at the check-in counter." He rolled their bag. They're holding hands. They just passed security. Destination. My voice came out steady like a level. Line. Paris. I'm attaching the boarding. Passes. Photo. Gate. K. Something. Flight leaves at 11:15. I look through the bay doors into the parking lot. Blue sky. Nothing dramatic. Okay, you want me to keep eyes till wheels up? That's enough. Send me the photos on your email in 1 minute. He hung up. I walked into my office, shut the door, and opened the inbox. There it was, her walking up to the counter with him, the Eiffel Tower on the digital board behind them like a punchline, their hands together in the line to the metal detectors. One photo showed her head tipped on his shoulder like she was boarding a bus for summer camp. At 11:04, text buzzed. "Hey babe," Lauren typed. "I landed a crazy last-minute deal. Paris with the girls. Don't worry, I'll be back in a week. It was too good to pass up. We'll FaceTime from the hotel. Love you." I stared at the message. The timing could have been funny if you lived in a sitcom. I typed back without rage, without punctuation beyond what I needed. "Hope you have fun with him. There will be divorce papers waiting when you get back." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I watched them the way you watch a thermometer. The phone rang. I let it go. Another call. Another messages started dropping in. "Are you serious? Who is him? Answer me now. You're being insane. I'm with Jenna and Claire. You're embarrassing yourself." I blocked her. Not for noise, for policy. 10 seconds later, email pinged. Subject, call me. I closed the laptop. At the bay, Mike stuck his head in. "You good, boss?" I checked the schedule. "I'm stepping out for an hour. You and Louise can handle the F-150. He saw something in my face that said, "Don't ask." We got it. I drove to our bank. I took my name off every card that funded anything she could burn through on a whim. I set alerts to my phone only. I pulled our emergency cash into a new account and left everything needed for standard bills untouched. Then I drove to her parents' house. Ed and Marlene live 15 minutes away, a clean ranch with lawn care that could use a ruler. Ed met me on the porch, wiping his hands like he'd been waiting for a project. "Buddy," he said, "what's up? Your daughter is out of the country with a man." I said, "She just texted that she's in Paris with the girls. I wanted you to hear it from me and not from her tear radius." Later, Ed blinked. "What?" "Let's not speculate. I'll send you the photos I got from a professional. I'm not here for drama. I'm here for your support when she lands." Marlene came to the door with a dish towel. "Support for what?" "Boundaries," I answered. "I'm going to end this marriage cleanly. No screaming. I already closed discretionary money. I'll pack her things and bring them here. If that's okay, I'd prefer she not come back to my house like nothing happened." Marlene put a hand on her chest, then took it down again like she'd caught herself doing something theatrical. "I bet we need to talk to Lauren. You'll have your chance when she lands. She will say it is not what it looks like. She will call me names for finding out. She will offer soft words to patch something she already sold. I'm not looking for her version. I'm looking for logistics." Ed stepped aside. "You bring the boxes. We'll make space in the den." I drove home and got to work. I'm not a man who sits on a couch and imagines either doom or rescue. I pulled out her suitcases, folded her clothes into neat layers, taped boxes with the kitchen stuff she brought into the marriage and the small decor she loved. I didn't hurt it. I didn't toss anything. I didn't hold a ceremony. I called a mover for a quick haul and gave them her parents' address. I changed the code on the garage keypad in the front door and left a note on the counter with her new temporary access if her parents were with her. I took our framed wedding photo off the mantel and put it face down in a drawer until I decided whether to burn or trash or hand it over. I poured a glass of water and kept moving. By evening, the calls started coming from an unfamiliar number. I let them roll. Then the house line rang. I keep it only because older relatives still use it. I answered, "Marlene, tight. Why is Lauren emailing us in tears? She says you blocked her and you threatened divorce out of nowhere. Did something happen? I sent you an email 10 minutes ago with the photos." I said, "Check it, then call me back." They hung up fast. 5 minutes later, the phone rang again. Ed's voice was different. "Son, those pictures, I know." He breathed hard into the line and then corrected it. "We'll be at your place when she returns." "When does she get back?" "She said a week. Jack will confirm the flight back." "Who's Jack?" "The professional who took the photos." "Don't worry about him. Worry about your daughter's story when she walks in with a carry-on full of souvenirs and a script." Marlene's voice came on small. "I'm sorry you're seeing this. I'm not sorry. I'm informed. Bring boxes tomorrow morning. I'll drop the first load tonight." The first illusion of change had already come and gone. The lunch, the note, the soft tone. She had tried on tenderness like a jacket 2 sizes too big and took it off in the security line at the airport. The second would come later loud when she realized the audience had changed. Jack texted me Saturday. She and Mail checked into a hotel in the 6th arrondissement. Confirmed return flight next Friday. Then he sent a quiet ad on You Did the Right Thing. Monday, Lauren found an old email thread and tried again. "This trip isn't what you think." Jenna backed out last minute, so Claire asked her coworker to come. "We couldn't eat the bookings. There are 4 of us. You know how it is." I didn't answer. Email is a slow dance and I wasn't dancing. Tuesday, a florist tried the door with a large bouquet. I told him to return it to the sender. Wednesday, a package arrived with a scarf and a note. "A little Paris for you." I brought the box to her parents' porch and left it there without ringing the bell. Thursday, a mutual friend, Gabe, texted, "Man, Lauren is freaking out. Says he went nuclear. Want to talk?" I called him. "Did she say where she is?" "Paris, apparently, with the girls with a guy named Not Me. She told you half a story on purpose. Don't be a messenger. Stay neutral. Gabe is a decent human." You could hear him aligning. Copy. "You need anything? I need you not to pick sides in public. It'll help both of us." Friday afternoon, Ed called. "Flight lands at 3:40. We'll meet you at your house at 5. She wants to come straight there." "Perfect. Do you need us to bring anything?" "Bring whatever voice you used when she lied to you at 16 about the garage door." Ed coughed out something like a laugh. "It's still in the toolbox." They arrived at 5 with a casserole. "Old habits." I put it in the fridge because I'm not rude. We sat in the living room. Daylight angled across the floor and waited. At 5:30, the driveway camera caught Lauren's car. She parked crooked, grabbed her carry-on, and came up the path fast like Speedwood reverse footage. She came in, breath quick, eyes flaring to each of us. Finally, she began. Someone answers the door. "What is wrong with you?" "Sit," I said, pointing to the chair across from us. She didn't sit. "I've been calling. You blocked me. You humiliated me in front of my friends. Do you understand how?" "Sit down," Ed said plain and firm. That got her. She sat chin high. "Okay, so this is a tribunal now." "No," I said, "this is a handoff." "A handoff of what?" "The version of our marriage where you get to do what you want and I keep paying for it and smiling. It's done." I lifted the folder from the coffee table and set it down between us. "These are divorce papers. My attorney drafted clean terms. I'm not taking anything that isn't mine. All your personal things are already at your parents' house. You can take your car. You can pick up the rest tomorrow with your dad. You won't be staying here tonight." She laughed. A quick, sharp burst that didn't match the room. "You can't be serious." Marlene leaned forward. "Lauren, stop." Lauren turned to her like she was gathering backup. "Mom, tell him this is insane. I went to Paris with friends because we got a deal." "The girls," Ed cut in. "We saw the photos." "Photos of what?" "Crowded places. Me in a group. Photos of you at the airport holding a man's hand," I said. I slid the printouts across the table. "Photos of you in the check-in line. The 2 of you looking like a couple leaving for a honeymoon. Photos of you at the travel agency last week picking up the packet. I don't care who he is. I care that you built a trip with him and sold it to me as a slumber party." She stared at the pictures for a long second, then shoved them back with the back of her hand. "You hired someone to watch me? Are you out of your mind?" "I hired someone to give me facts," I replied. "You gave me performances." She stood pacing 3 steps. "This is a massive overreaction. That man is a friend of Claire's husband. He had points. He offered to help us." "By holding your hand through TSA?" Ed asked. His tone flattened the room. "Lauren, enough." She rounded on him. "Dad, you're taking his side." "I'm taking the side of basic decency," he said. "You can't leave the country with a man and call your husband from the gate like you're buying candles." Marlene's eyes had gone glassy and then steady. "You told me you were with 3 girls. You told me to call Jenna if I didn't believe you." "You can," Lauren snapped. "She'll say exactly what I said." Marlene folded her hands. "I don't want scripts. I want facts." Lauren's voice rose. "Why are you all acting like I did something unforgivable? I took a trip I deserved. I'm underappreciated in this house. He never plans anything. He never stopped counting my sins to cover yours." I said, not loud, not soft. "We all have flaws. None of mine boarded a plane." She tried switching angles. "So, we're done, because you didn't feel respected for a week. That's what you're telling yourself. You want to blow up our lives over optics. No, it's because you traded honesty for upgrades," I answered. "And you kept me as backup for when upgrades weren't free." Her jaw set. "This is control disguised as principle. This is principle disinfected from your control." She took a breath like she was about to deliver a thesis and then saw the folder again. "You can't just hand me papers and tell me to leave." "I can't," I said, "and I am." Marlene put a hand on Lauren's arm. "Honey, let's go." Lauren jerked away. "Not until he apologizes for stalking me and calling my parents to gang up on me." "I called your parents," I said, "because I respect them and because I didn't want you spinning this into a soap opera at their door, and I didn't stalk you. I outsourced honesty. If that word offends you, your problem is bigger than me." She laughed again, a scratchy sound. "A week in Paris, and suddenly he's a philosopher." Ed stood. "Lauren, you will go with us now. You will stay with us until you figure out what you want to do next. You will not come back here unannounced. You will not try to use your keys because they won't work." She snapped her head toward me. "You changed the locks. I changed the codes. That's not drama. That's standard. You'll have access tomorrow when your dad is with you." Lauren's face did a lot in 1 second. Shock, calculation, a quick search for a soft spot in me, and then a pivot. She sat back down and dropped her voice warm. "Evan," she said, and the way she said my name was a sweater pulled from a top shelf. "Look at me. We have had a rough month. I've been a brat. I know that I push lines I shouldn't have, but you know me. You know my heart. I went to Paris to clear my head, to feel something besides this routine. I should have been honest. I'm sorry." Marlene's eyes flicked to me. Ed washed his shoes like they were a test he could pass by, focus alone. I let the warmth pass through me and out. It was the second softening. A better performance than the lunch note. "You're not sorry," I said. "You're cornered." "Wow." She shook her head. "You think so little of me." "I think exactly of you. Nothing more, nothing less." She reached for my hand. I didn't move. "We can do counseling," she said. "We can do a reset. I'll change my schedule. I'll share locations. I'll bring you receipts if that's what it takes." "I don't want receipts," I answered. "I want basic respect that isn't negotiated like a car deal. You traded it for a trip. The price is the marriage." She sat back like I just shut a door. She always left cracked. "You're really ending this over a misunderstanding." Ed's voice jumped a note he hadn't used since she was a teenager. "It's not a misunderstanding when there are plane tickets." She looked at him, then at her mother, and realized the jury box didn't have who she thought it had. The anger drained and got replaced with tears fast. Pretty ones braided with words. "Please," she said to me, "please don't do this. We can fix it. I'll call him right now and say I never want to speak to him again." "Don't call him," I said. "Call a recruiter." Her head snapped. "A recruiter? You're a capable woman. You'll need a job that covers your life. I'm not sponsoring it anymore." She laughed through the tears. "So now I'm punished financially." "You're free financially," I corrected. "It'll be good for you." She stood like the chair had burned her. "I hate who you're being." "You'll get over it," I said. "Get your bag. Your parents will drive you." She looked at Marlene like maybe she'd get a different line. "Mom." Marlene stood and took her purse. "We're going." Lauren spun to me one last time. "You can't even talk about this. After everything we built a house. I said, "You bulldoze the trust. That's not something we can glue together with apologies from Paris." She grabbed the handle of her carry-on and pulled it toward the door. At the threshold, she paused like she wanted a final swing. "You'll regret this," she said, trying for menace and landing on play. "I regret not doing it earlier," I replied. "Ed, make sure she has the boxes I brought. Marlene, I'll text you when tomorrow's pickup time is set." They left with small sounds, wheels over the threshold, the screen door thumping. I stood in the quiet and let it be quiet. That night, I slept like a man whose phone wasn't a weapon against him. In the morning, I made coffee and eggs, answered Mike's text about a customer's alternator, and called the mover to confirm the rest. Ed showed up at 10 with a pickup. We loaded lamps and a stack of books she loved and that I never touched. He kept trying to apologize. "Don't," I said. "You did what parents are supposed to do. You looked at the truth and you didn't blink." He nodded, jaw working. "She'll have a hard week. She built it. She can unbuild it." I handed him a box labeled winter coats. After he left, I cleaned. Not the kind you do when you're sad. The kind you do when you're setting a new standard. I took down photos that were now just paper. I moved the couch, changed the bedroom furniture around so the room didn't hold her shape. I called the cell provider and split the plan. I called my insurance agent and updated beneficiaries and contacts. It was boring work. It was freedom in checkboxes. 2 days later, she tried again, not to my phone. She couldn't. She emailed, "Please meet me at the coffee shop by the lake. One conversation. That's all I'm asking." I replied once. We had the conversation. The rest is signatures. She tried sending a mutual friend to argue her case. Tasha, a woman we both liked, called me. "Evan, she's a wreck," Tasha said. "She says she made a mistake. Don't put yourself in it." I said, "Tell her to bring a pen." "She says the guy already ghosted her when she told him you knew. That's not a surprise." "You're stone," Tasha said, not unkind. "I didn't know you had this gear." "I didn't either," I said, "but I like it." The divorce moved so fast it would make a clerk happy. No fights, no extra meetings. She knew the terms were fair. She didn't have money to hire a big show. Her parents saw to it that things stayed quiet. Ed drove with her to sign. Marlene waited in the car. A month later, my house was only mine. The silence felt like integrity, not emptiness. I shifted my schedule at the shop, added an early morning slot for customers who like dropping keys before work. Mike noticed me breathing easier. "You're lighter," he said, handing me a socket. "I stopped carrying someone else's fog," I told him. On weekends, I took my nephew fishing at Busy Woods. I rebuilt the workbench in the garage and turned the spare bedroom into a small office with a worn leather chair I finally bought because I wanted one. I traded the old sedan for a used truck in good condition. Nothing flashy, just competent. I started going to a gym that isn't about nonsense. A woman there, steady eyes, smart mouth, spotted me on bench and made a joke about my form that wasn't cute. It was accurate. Her name is Grace. We've had coffee twice. She asks direct questions. She doesn't disappear at midnight. As for Lauren, I hear about her casually, not because I ask, but because life is nosy. Patty from next door saw Marlene loading groceries with her. "She's staying with them," Patty told me, handing me back my hedge trimmer. "Looks rough. I hope she finds her footing," I said, and I meant it. Ed texted me once. "She's looking for work. She asked about coming by to get the last boxes. I told her to coordinate with me first. Proud of you. Proud of us." He's a man who doesn't say proud lightly. The last time I saw Lauren was at the grocery store cereal aisle. She froze like a deer when she saw me and then pulled herself together. "Hi," she said flat. "Hey," I replied. "You look different," she said. "Probably because I sleep." She tucked hair behind her ear. I'm sorry." "Okay, I know," I said. "Take care. Are you seeing someone? That's not your business anymore." She smiled a little at that, like I'd somehow given her a souvenir. "Right. Okay." She pushed her cart past me. No scene, no speech, just a quiet end in the cereal aisle. It fit. I walked out into daylight with a bag of groceries in the sense that I'd done exactly what I said I would do. The night she came in at 2 with her cocky dare to call her friends. She wanted me to doubt myself. I chose to make it simple. When facts show up, you either adjust or you pretend. I'm not built for pretending. People ask sometimes if I miss her. I miss the version of us that existed before comfort shopping became a personality and girls' night became a password. I miss thinking the person beside me was on my team. But I don't miss being a prop in someone else's show. There's a difference. I keep the folder from that day in a drawer, not as a trophy, but as a manual. It reminds me what I learned. When respect leaves, you don't chase it. You set your terms, you act, and you live them. My house is quiet. My phone stays face up. My weekends are mine. I'm not in a rush, but I'm moving forward. Grace texts me about hiking trails and recipes that actually work. My nephew asks when we're going back to the lake. Mike ribs me about starting to smile at work customers like a normal person. Patty waves from the sidewalk with her dog. Lauren is at her parents' place updating her resume, figuring out a different life than the one she tried to shortcut. The man from Paris isn't in the picture. That's how it goes. People who make you feel like an upgrade rarely hang around when your flight lands. She'll be fine. So will I, especially me. On her last day picking up boxes from my garage, she asked me for one last thing. Can you at least tell me what hurt you the most? She said, not angry, curious. Maybe. I set the box on the tailgate and looked at her. It wasn't the trip, I said. It was that after you booked it with him, you still wanted me to carry the image of being your safe place. You wanted both, comfort and a backup. That's not love. That's management. She nodded, not arguing. You're right, I know. She climbed into her parents' car and left without looking back. I shut the garage, turned off the lights, and went inside. I had a game to watch, a call to my sister, and a pan on the stove. Life doesn't pause because someone gambled your respect. It keeps running. You either keep up or you don't. When I tell this story, men at the bar nod. Some say, man, I would have blown up. I don't recommend explosions. I recommend lists. I recommend moving your feet. Quiet is underrated. It can be the meanest voice in the room when you aim it right. If I had to sum it up for a stranger, she went looking for a smoother seat and thought I'd stay saved in her phone. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just closed the door and meant it. The night she came home from Paris, she asked for language for a chance to explain. I gave her a sentence instead. Hope you had fun. I told her then. What's waiting for you here isn't a fight, it's a finish. And that was that.